Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you some more of the fantastic CNSL Season 6. Right now we're in Group C, and this is the losers match, and it has Scan in it. Kind of insane, but as you can see at the bottom right there, Dewalt has already advanced 2-0, winning the group. Just some phenomenal play out of him. Amazing to see, very happy to see Dewalt performing so well. Now, this game is between Scan, as I mentioned here in the top left, and Cop. Okay, sorry, I have a little bit of a cough still. But, you know, Cop, I talked about him a little bit more in his previous match. He is a pretty strong amateur Terran. Hasn't been in ASL yet. Honestly, I don't think he's one of the guys right on the brink of it as well, of being like an ASL regular. Like, I mean, you can always just get a bracket and make it into ASL. It's a possibility at Cop's level, but like, you know, I look at players like Scan, like Ride Sky from the previous group, and a few others as like, okay, these guys are literally the next generation that are going to be in ASL every season. You know, like players like JYJ or Rush or, you know, Barracks. It's probably a closer estimation to that. But yeah, so I do think that Scan is pretty favored here, going up against Cop. But we'll see what he has, you know, as far as a build goes. You know, that's a big part of Terran versus Terran, is what the opening builds are, because you can get pretty big advantages if you take a little risk. But of course, that can also turn into a massive disadvantage. Now, Cop is going for a command center first, so he's taking this risk, right? If, for instance, this barracks was up here, this might die. If this was an 8 racks, this would die. Right? So any proxy or very early barracks kills this straight up, but this is heavily favored against everything else. Okay, so I mean, command center first, it's a little bit of a coin flip, but definitely something that in a tournament should be mixed in, right? Like, it's just it's too powerful to fully ignore. Now, Scan is going for what looks like a factory expansion. It's pretty rare to do one base builds, especially on a map like this. So that would probably be, you know, you can sometimes put pressure on, but it's cross map. So this is like the absolute worst case scenario for Scan. It's exactly this, right? If it was close spawns, like let's say that he just scouted him here, there's actually an opportunity for Scan to change this into an all-in and try to bust him, or perhaps cut corners, right, and try to get more economical, or, you know, something in between with the pressure. Now, he's going to scout him second, so there's no opportunity to do something like add a second factory. He's just got to go ahead with his command center that he's already planned. But also, it's cross map, so it takes a long time to send units across the map, and it's very, very difficult at that point to get much done. Now, he gets up here, he sees, okay, it's command center first. That has to be frustrating for Scan, who probably did not expect, after being a champion of this tournament, to the very next season being the loser match here, and then have a bad build order disadvantage in the worst possible spawns. Like, this is if we're going to see Scan eliminated early from this tournament, it has to be this scenario. Now, he did bring one Marine, so that's a little bit annoying. Some good micro from that SCV trying to get on top of it. But I mean, it's so far away that there's not like a lot to do with this, right? Like, he pokes it, couple SCVs get pulled, whatever. That's about it. That's the end of that. In the meantime, we have the add-on going on for Scan here. We're going to see what he wants to do. There's a few different things. He can go starports. Like, you can actually, against command center first, you can try starports. It's not popular anymore. There was a point in time where we were seeing 2 starport play to just kind of mass up rates. Here, he's actually going for a forward starport. So this might end up being a drop, but it could just be straight into a Wraith. Okay, so that's Vulture Speed. Now, this is a full wall. So straight Vulture Speed, if your opponent does a full wall, it's like the worst build that you can do. Now, if it's not a full wall, if there's any way in, the Vultures can sometimes wreak ridiculous havoc and deal tons of damage. So, yeah, just throwing that out there. The Vulture Speed is going to need the dropship in tandem to get damage done, and that is what he's going for. That is such a ridiculously forward starport. That's comedy how close that is. If any scout comes out, he gets to see it. The Marine is trying to say, hey, don't scout, but that's it, right? There's nothing else to really block. Vulture going over to the side here. Would love the vultures, honestly, to... It looks like they're maybe thinking about blocking these areas for anything coming out. Because you can send out SCVs through sides. Now, this SCV going up through the center, this could be very bad for Scan. Okay, sees the Marine and turns around. That's funny, because it's one Marine, and, like, one Marine just absolutely can't stop an SCV. Maybe if you had stim and a lot of area to micro, like, I guess you can kill the SCV, but in this case, he could have run past, and he actually would have seen this. So, doesn't see it, goes the other direction, and here comes the drop. Here comes the drop. Let's see what type of damage Scan can get done. This is such an important moment in this game right now. If Scan gets no damage, he is in the worst shape ever. Now, there is a Wraith here, so he's going to end up losing this dropship as long as there's some decent micro. Picks off a couple SCVs building buildings already. And you know what? He's catching up on that SCV count relatively quickly. Okay, that's kind of a big deal here, right? Suddenly Scan is up by 5 workers, and he's killed all the Marines. The Marines, not a huge deal, but obviously we have nothing left in that bunker. But he is going to go ahead and lose this dropship. The starport is floating back. He may be able to get that as well. But let's take a look back at Scan's home. He's going up to 4 factories. What do we have here? Just the 2. So Scan turns this disadvantage. I'm kind of getting chills, honestly. He turns this very tough disadvantage. He takes a little bit of a risk with that forward starport. You know, if you see that coming, it's a lot easier to block. Gets a decent amount of SCVs with his 4 vulture speed drop. Back at home, he's got most of a wall up, just in case. If his opponent was going vulture, he would have made a barracks here and just sat behind the wall and tried to live. But as is, like going into some Goliaths, going into some siege tanks, getting 4 factories up, continually producing those SCVs. He's up in workers, and he's up in production. It's such a huge deal. So definitely, I do have to give an edge to Scan. That's one of the quickest without killing your opponent, without doing damage where I'm like, oh, the game is over, because the game is certainly not over. You know, there's plenty of play on both sides here, but that might be the quickest I've seen an advantage turn around to factory expansion against the command center first. It's honestly very, very impressive. Okay, so the 2 Wraiths going over, they're going to get a little bit of scouting done. There are a couple Goliaths out already. The starport looks to have already made its way back. We have the comsats coming just in case of Cloak. Of course, he's not sure either way. Back here, by the way, we do have Cop going for a dropship. Not sure what he's going to utilize that for, since he doesn't really have vultures. Like, he can do a tank drop. Ooh, already has Goliath range as well. That is the upgrade that takes the longest. By far, it takes a lot longer than even vulture speed. So already has the 2 upgrades that take a really long time. In fact, has mines out as well. Damn, Scan's build really fantastic here this game. Now, a couple vultures going on the map to lay some mines, no doubt. Siege tanks moving up here. And yeah, this is kind of the exciting part, is like, what are we going to see done here from Cop? He has his 2 Wraiths patrolling about a little bit. They don't have Cloak or anything like that. Scan looks to be opening up some of these passageways, so maybe he can attack an additional base. You know, if he gets some map control, that's a big deal. Looking at the actual army size, let's look at the actual quality of army. So there's actually a fair amount of vultures out that inflate Scan supply. He is up in workers, but the real thing that matters as far as units fighting each other, 4 tanks, 3 Goliaths, and then you can see a lot more tanks here, right? Twice as many tanks. So even though Scan did a fantastic job in the early game, you can see a different way in which the command center first is still like, yeah, I'm fine. So he has a lot of these siege tanks. He's actually already made 3 dropships, and this is a pretty highly risky play. Like, you need this to do something. I hear some scans going off. It doesn't look like he's seen these dropships as of yet. Now, if Scan doesn't attack right now, that could be something that forces the dropships back. Lays a few mines here. His opponent playing so far back, like, honestly, you might start to suspect that there's something like this going on. Right? Because you don't want a containment come up right away. If your opponent is allowing a situation like this, he has to be doing something. There has to be something going on. Now the dropship's going across the map. Dude, this is such a strong drop. Holy crap. There are a few units left in the main base. So that's kind of important. Let's see what he does. Okay, Scan moving up. Siege is one up, but this is a much bigger army that he is going to unload. Some units popping out. Oh my god, these siege tanks pop out just in the nick of time to help out against this. Still, Cop's army much, much better. The SCV is coming to fight. He has to unsiege, sending back his forces for the most part. Well, at least the vulture forces. And some wraiths coming up to help clean this. Now, the mines being laid plus the SCVs, they're like drawing tank fire. Honestly, this was a very good cleanup from Scan. I feel like this could have been done a little bit better from Cop if he had targeted those siege tank fire, that siege tank fire a little bit more. Maybe not hit the SCVs that were on top of his units. I think his army would have done a bit more damage there. But a good solid hold from Scan, who now switching into Wraiths himself, feeling this is the opportune moment to do one of these tech switches to catch his opponent off guard. Cop taking another base here over at 3 o'clock. Going home with those dropships. He has so many dropships. The Wraith switch is actually going to very badly hurt him. You know, if you're flying around with this many dropships, let's see how many Goliaths are in here. 1, 3. Okay, so there's 3 Goliaths total. So if you can pop those Goliaths, everything else dies to the Wraiths that Scan is making. But he's very low on Wraiths, so this is like probably his weakest moment because of this tech switch, basically. Now, here come the 5 dropships. Scan does clear this area and stops the command center from building. It hasn't been canceled yet, so maybe Cop can move up and still save that. The cloaked Wraiths coming out. Oh, such a problem here. Kills 2 of the dropships already. This is a fantastic move from Scan. You can really see his level showing through despite a tough opening. By the way, the dropship he got midair had the 2 Goliaths in it, so there's only 1 Goliath with this army now. This is going to be much easier for Scan to clean up. He's attacking out into it. You know, you can see this is not the most efficient attack that we could have, but he's getting it done. He just wants to make sure that this contain is gone. And once he gets rid of these units, Scan has real control of this game, right? He's going to kill off this Goliath. He loses a Wraith for it, but now he gets to kill the rest of the siege tanks here. And he's got his own containment still. There's some mines in the way. Oh, God. Oh, God. If you use move commands here, things could go terribly badly for Cop. Looks like he will get some good volleys off there. Cop has to turn around. That doesn't work really at all. He's losing the rest of his tanks. Scan has complete control of this game now. Okay, look at this. He's killed the eggs here. He's forced to cancel. He's got mines on this side. He's got a containment going. He has cloaked Wraiths, which already kill the dropships. You can't just remake dropships, right? Like, your opponent already has the counter to that in Wraiths. So this is like, basically, Cop needs to break out right away. He needs to get rid of this, and he needs to take some position in the center. The only other play, really, is trying to, like, push across the bottom, maybe? Like, maybe you kill these eggs and you just start sending units over, but your circulation is so poor, there's no way Scan won't win that game. So, yeah, I do feel like this is a moment where even Cop might want to just pull, like, 12 SCVs and bring them up here and just clean this as efficiently as possible. And again, get a big chunk of the map. You don't need to necessarily push it all the way to halfway, but, like, let's say if he can control this area, okay, he's got almost half the bases on the map if he does that. Now, SCV's being transferred, but very poorly there, unfortunately. Also sending a lot of units down this way. There are some mines in here. Oh, gosh, and they are going to start connecting as well. The vultures... Well, with the mines there and everything, too, he's slowing down the landing of the command center, even. Gonna go up and try to lay some mines on top of this as well. Ooh, he gets the double mine lay. Doesn't quite kill that siege tank, but brings up some more of his own to knock that out. Cop really being dominated right now. Scan with a base over at 9 and a base going up at 12. He's got the 2 starports still going on Wraiths. 5 factories still. What are the upgrades at? We're at +1. Science facility is not done as of yet. Over here, science facility is already done. +2 is on the way. So that is one way in which Cop is ahead. You know, he's not on that good of production, though. He's down a starport and down a factory as far as that production goes. He's having a hard time mining, trying to do some long distance. That's not going to work out either. Like, he needs to take over an area. This is pretty good defense. Like, you're not going to get this broken too easily, although we are approaching those numbers. As you can see, 144 to 107 with approximately the same SCVs. Like, Scan is starting to get enough supply. He's going to be able to break siege lines that big. But yeah, this is really rough. Cop trying to get in here. Wants to siege up and hold on to this base. If he can get a third, that's a lot more gas and gives him more options. As is, though, Scan gets over here with some siege tanks. Going to be very annoying for Cop. Sending in some vultures as well. I don't think those are going to do too much. So Cop looks like he should be able to secure 3 o'clock. Now, what do we have going into the... Yeah, he's switching into dropships. I was going to say, like, this is such a desperate time. Even dropships might be an okay idea. It's like, you can't really fight the Wraiths, but you might be able to, like, sneak drops somewhere. Not necessarily offensive drops, but more defensive drops, right? So, like, maybe you ferry a bunch of units here, right? And then you can secure this base, perhaps, at that point. That's the type of move I think we're going to be looking at for the dropships. Like, you're not going to get enough dropships to get over here, drop in Scan's base, and not get cleaned up instantly. Now, the Wraith's going to help him to close off these assimilators. As long as you kill one, your opponent not going to be able to walk through that area. And if he has to fly through that area, the Wraiths become even stronger. By the way, love the fact that he's stopped at 12. You don't really need more than that. He's got a full group. He's going to be able to deal a ton of damage with that and really force a heavy counter from Cop. Now, Scan looks to be breaking through the eggs here. Wants to do an attack over on that 3 o'clock. Scan, at this point, honestly, is looking for ways to almost finish the game. Now, this is going to be a 7 Goliath drop. That's offensive. These eggs aren't broken. These eggs aren't broken. These eggs might be. I'm not entirely sure, honestly. But he is going to go ahead and drop in here, and this means the Wraiths can't clear it up, right? That's what you're thinking about there. And then you have to kill the eggs to get in with ground units. He can kill the command center before anything gets in. So this was like a pretty big brain drop, I would say, but this is most likely a one-way trip for all of this. It's hard to imagine any of this getting out of here, right? Because you can just bring in your factory units, then fly the Wraiths in. So it's like, okay, well, are you going to die to this stuff, or are you going to load up and die to the Wraiths? And he is going to pop that command center. So nicely done there from Cop. Here come those Wraiths as he tries to pick up some. Yeah, picks those both off immediately. The siege tank plus Vulture plus Wraith going to make short work of this small group of Goliaths. So he scans. He doesn't even have that Goliath range. In fact, he just starts. I think he actually forgot about it. That happens sometimes in the later game. But yeah, this is getting worse for Cop now. Cop does have a little bit of a bank, but his bases are going to start running out pretty quickly, I think, right? Scan taking this top right, like this is the base that's going to carry him through probably the rest of this game. Like all he needs to do basically is hold on to this because this is a full base. The side bases are reduced. It's 3,000 gas and 1,000 minerals per patch. All right, Cop trying to break out. This might be the only thing he feels like he can really do at this point. +2 not quite ready for Scan, so good timing there from Cop. Coming forward, more siege tanks coming down from Scan, though. Doesn't want to move too close. You do want to siege up so that you're actually shooting before your opponent. Does do that siege up. And honestly, you got to be careful. If you lose these Goliaths, the Wraiths will simply fly in and kill you. Oh, it looks like he loses like all his Wraiths to some missile turrets over there. Not sure what happened there. Looks like he was maybe just trying to kill the command center and flew into some anti-air. But still, Scan controls this game completely. Bottom left command center has been taken. And this is the last, like, this is the death grasps of his opponent. Cop, you know, a tough group for him here, for sure. I mean, a kind of a underdog tough group anyways, right? Having 815 and Scan as two very strong players, then Dewalt actually wins the group. It's like, oh, damn, that's pretty hardcore. So, Scan clears that out. Honestly, I think we'll see GG from Cop at any moment. He just does not have a lot left. All right, going to back up, and GG, Cop is eliminated. Scan to the final match. Well, we're just going to get directly into our fifth and final game here. You know, right now this is the decider match. It's between Scan and 815, two very strong pro gamers, and it's on Retro. So, yeah, let's finish it up and see who's going to advance forward with Dewalt. Such an upset in this group, of course. Very, very fun one. Hope you guys are enjoying. And, well, let's see how this goes down. Yeah, so the map being Retro, I think Retro is actually one of the most interesting new maps we've had in a bit. It looks kind of normal, but honestly, it's I don't know. The new 12 base layout is something I'm kind of becoming a little bit of a fan on. It's a little bit difficult to play in some ways, but in other ways, it's really kind of fresh and dynamic. It's just having a few less bases does make a bit more scuffling go on. It doesn't feel like the game is likely to just stretch out into giant half map situations, that type of thing. But anyways, taking a look here, looks like Scan gonna go up and scout 815 first. Looks like a pretty standard build from him. Of course, 815 is scouted Scan very, very quickly here, and they're both doing standard build orders. So doesn't look like we're going to have anything that makes this out of the ordinary. Should be a pretty normal game, I would say. Of course, 815 has some room here to be a little bit tricky, right? Does he want a quick third base? Does he want a third hatchery in his main base? Is he going to get Zergling speed? Maybe make a bunch of Zerglings? We'll see about that momentarily. Scan right now, pushing out lightly with some Marines, just looking to see if anything's there, right? Like, is maybe an Overlord, like this Overlord trying to cross over to here? You know, that would be a great catch. Is there like a scouting drone still out here? Of course, we can see there's nothing, but a very pro gamer move. You can tell someone's very good or very bad when their Marines are out like this. Because if you can't keep track of everything going on, you will die when you do that occasionally. Now, non-stop Marines from Scan, and he is going for an engineering bay rush. So, looks like he wants to get that quick +1 and probably go into 4 barracks play here, trying to just overwhelm 815. Not a bad idea. Honestly, if you can keep your SCV alive for this long against 815, not that he's terrible at playing like a macro game, but like he is one of the Zergs that you look at and you say, you know what? If it's kind of standard and I have a lot of units, that's going to be a bit hard for him. Now, a decent amount of Lings have been hatched. 6, that's not enough to really do any damage, but you definitely can kind of shut down scouts, maybe scare your opponent into staying back in their base a little bit more, maybe counterattack if they try to move out. Of course, as we've already talked about, this is a quick +1. So, yeah, that's not something that's going to move out early in this matchup. You're basically waiting for +1, range, and at least like 20 Marines and 4 or 5 medics before you really want to move out against Ling Muta. So Scan sits back in a very defensive position. I like the depot kind of choking this up a little bit. You need to make sure that you're not easy to surround or Zerglings just absolutely dominate. Additional barracks on the way. We already have Stim going as well. 815 up here is Spire not quite done, but has that third base well on the way up at 12 o'clock. So I think a very good choice by him. Going to expand that economy immediately. But will he be able to hold off the onslaught of Marines that's going to come in? Because as you can see, Scan adding 3 more Raxes to go up into that 4 Rax that we were talking about before. The Mutalisks being hatched right now. Oh, he's getting Carapace, Flyer Carapace here for 815. I always, when I see this in this type of game, I like to call it battle mutas, right? Like when you're getting +1 attack, that means that you're focusing more on your harassment. You're focusing more on running in with mutas, killing off missile turrets, you know, killing off SCVs, things like that, hit and run tactics. Whereas when you get the +1 Carapace, you're saying, you know what? These are going to fight Marines. That's going to happen. I mean, there are obviously situations where you're going to get it because you think your opponent's going for like a quick Valkyries or something like that, but that isn't this case. So, yeah, making those battle mutas, we should see 815 probably produce pure mutaling for quite some time, and his game is going to be mostly hinged upon killing a big army of Scans when Scan moves out. Okay, the mutas come in. They're going to start their harassment a little bit. As 6, really you need that 7 for the high quality harassment, killing 1 SCV per volley. Gets that 7th down here. Taking a look, kind of a good turret placement there from Scan. Nothing down here. That could be a problem area if 815 decides to try for it. You never know. Sometimes you see a Zerg dive down into this bottom right area and there'll be like a missile turret there. Scan actually adding a 3rd. Oh, that's an interesting formation. I haven't seen that before. It won't cool. The mutas, maybe that'll reach actually the mutas in the bottom right. Maybe, huh? That's kind of cool. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I hope that 815 does try to harass so I can see what that looks like. But I haven't seen that. That's, yeah, fascinating. Learn something new every day in StarCraft. So very good group of mutas here flying up, and you know, they're just kind of dogging the army. Notice how he's switched the position where he's in between the rally or the reinforcement line, right? And the Marines and medics. So he wants to make sure that no more Marines and medics come up and join this. In the meantime, you can see he's just continually making lings and mutas. He is going to jump upon this when he gets that +1 carapace. He wants to slow it down. And of course, if you can pick off some units like we just saw there, fantastic. But you want to slow it down so that you get your +1 carapace, so that you get as many units as possible. And then you jump on it and kill the whole army really, really quickly, losing minimal units. That's the idea behind getting this quick +1 carapace. So look, he's got the 11 mutas here. Okay amount of lings. Quite a few more mutas coming up as well. But now this is the problem. The reinforcements coming up. That is a bit of an issue. He just lost another muta. He has another one very badly hurt. Flies in again. Picking off what he can. Scan right now, by the way, is going up into starport as well as armory. So he wants to go into Valkyries from here. He's reading the situation correctly, that this is a lot of mutalisks being made. Now that bio ball, like, Scan's being very careful. He's not moving too far out. This is a tough game right now for 815. Like, he's gearing up to crush this army, and Scan's not giving him the opportunity. You know, if Scan had stayed out on the map, maybe if he was slower on his reinforcements, it could have occurred. But as is, 815 is not getting a lot done. Is that +1 carapace helping him? Well, a little bit, but you know, it's nothing really to write home about. He hasn't done any real damage. He's not reducing the army too much. He is slowing it down. Like, Scan knows that there's aggressive intentions here from 815. 815 continuing to try to pick off units with these mutas. He is going into Guardians. A Greater Spire is on the way. It's kind of slow Guardians for what we're looking at. Not that, I mean, it's a Guardian rush regardless, but it's not like the super quick Guardians that you sometimes see from a player like Zealot. Now, there's a single Valkyrie on the way. One Valkyrie against these +1 mutas is not going to do too fantastically. There is a second starport coming. +1 ship weapons is coming as well, which is a huge upgrade for Valkyries that will undo that +1 carapace that we've been looking at so much. More mutas and lings up here. Hydralisk speed is on the way for that support. Scan having a hard time really getting out into the map, but you know what? He's going to have +1 armor on these Marines, which is huge, huge, huge. Ooh, very good volley from that Valkyrie. Keeps it healthy as well. You want to make sure you're not losing any Valkyries at this point. So we have a very good amount of Mutalisks right now. Hydras are coming out to join. That is going to be that anti-air once again to try to target down Valkyries. It also does some tanking for the Guardians. This is kind of a crazy one. I feel like Scan is doing it just right. 815 backs up, and look at this. We are going to have an engagement now. Scourge flying in, not getting a lot done. The two Valkyries still alive somehow, getting some huge, insane volleys there. Oh, God, that very red one gets so close to those Hydras. Would have loved to see a pickoff there, but 815 too busy to realize what's going on. Trying to go around maybe for a counterattack here. A lot of his mutas very, very badly hurt. Oh, two more Valkyries come out as well. This is terrible right now for 815, taking so much damage. Dude, I gotta tell you, I think that's just about it. The 4 Valkyries have decimated the Mutalisk force. What do we even have for mutas? He has, like, these 5 that are being hunted right now. Scourge are trying to go to catch up, but that's it. Like, you can't, you don't have any upgrades. You're not going to be able to do anything. You know, these Guardian Rushes are all in. You need the Guardian Rush to work. You don't have a fallback. Like, Hydras with range and speed are okay, but against 1/1 Marine Medic, absolutely not. +1 mutas are pretty good, but against +1 Valkyries, not going to do anything, and he doesn't have enough anyways. He's trying to recover right now, getting some of those mutas out at least. But he definitely needs a huge swarm of Guardians at this point if he's going to have a chance to win this. He is making some Guardians over here. Some Lings are here as well, but this is just not enough. These Marines can so easily pick off everything that we're looking at. And GG is called. Scan goes to the next round.